All right, Coach, if you wouldn't mind giving us a short statement about about the upcoming season and four players all CIAA team. Field it. The show is yours.
Again, thanks to everybody for coming on. We had a couple technical difficulties earlier, but I'm glad with the staff here that we were able to kind of catch some things and jump on it and get some things corrected. I'm just happy to be playing football again, honestly. To be totally honest, sitting out the 2020 season was a little tough, so just getting a chance to kind of get to play football and get back into the swing of things is going to be the fun part. So I think the guys are pretty hungry. We return a pretty exciting group. We got a chance to kind of find a little bit more out about the team during the spring. We had to fulfill a whole entire spring practice. And like I said, we found out a lot about the team at that point. And get us up to let us know that we're going to have a pretty exciting 2021.
We have the field open for questions now. Could you please identify yourself before you ask your question?
I'll start. Wally Pitt with HBCU Game Day. Coach, with there being such a gap in between playing, is there a feeling with the team that you're gonna take things over from 2019 into this season, or is it just feel like a whole fresh new start with what you guys are doing?
It's a little in between of both of the things you said. We return about maybe 13 fifth-year seniors, so that's give you the feeling of the 2019. But then we have two groups of freshmen in here. We had a freshman from 19 that red-shirted, and we had a freshman from 20 that did not play due to COVID. So when we hit the spring, we had two groups of freshmen in spring practice that have never played a down of Panther football. So it was something good for our staff because I think our staff is a player developmental staff. Those guys take pride in coaching the fundamentals and doing all those type of things. So it was something that was kind of fun to kind of get back to the basics of what we were doing because, half of the team was young and the other half was kind of older. The older guys were kind of looking on while we were kind of teaching the young guys, and they helped us bring those guys along the way. So, it'll be a little bit more in between. We'll get to figure some things out, but we know we got that crutch with a lot of those older guys returning.
Stephen Gator has his hand up.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Great. How about you? Appreciate you joining.
Doing great. Stephen Gator from HBCU Game Day. Just wanted to on that point that you were just on. A lot of players have talked about, or there's been a lot said about high school players not getting opportunity or looks because of COVID. But at the Division II level, do you think that has maybe given you guys a chance to get some guys that maybe straight out of high school at Division II you wouldn't be able to get?
That's correct. I think this year we were pretty selective in what we were able to do. In traditional years we probably bring in maybe about 25 guys in that freshman class. This year we've only brought in 12. And those 12 guys are from a couple of different places. We was able to touch a few different recruiting spots because, like you said, a lot of those guys were left out because they were, it's a trickle-down effect. So we were able to kind of get a few guys that I thought were some high-impact guys, some guys that we can kind of put on the scene right away because they're some high-quality football players. So with those guys coming in, it makes things a little easier because it's not like a traditional normal freshman class. You could look at about maybe 5 to 6 of those guys and say, you know what? In any other given year, we would have been in a tough battle or we'd have lost these guys to maybe an FCS program or one of those type of programs that traditionally you might lose a guy to, based on the fact that he's a good quality athlete. So we're able to reel in a lot of those guys kind of, answer your question. So we're pretty excited about it.
Sean Robertson has his hand up.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, man?
Great. How you doing, Sean?
Doing good. I wanted to get your thoughts, Sean Robertson, CBS 6 in Richmond. I wanted to get your thoughts on the positive response the players have given you with the extra year of eligibility ruling in place, and I guess how excited they are on getting that extra year after what took place last season.
I think it's been pretty good because we had 18 guys that had that opportunity. We had about 18 guys that had that opportunity to make a choice. whether or not they wanted to come back and play. 13 of those guys said yes. So with that type of number, those guys feel like they had some unfinished business. They felt like we were right on the peak of something. And they know what we got going here is pretty special. I think it says a lot about our staff, a lot about the university, that those guys are willing to give up that extra time to come back. And of those 13, about 8 have graduated. So they're coming back to either, do a little something extra undergrad or get a master's. So to be able to commit that time and committed to the program and kind of be lined up and ready, it says a lot. If you look at some of the guys that have made the all CIAA preseason list, 3 of those 4 guys are guys that are coming back for a 5th year. Or coming back in terms for that extra year. So the only guy that is not in that group probably be Hall because he's just a junior. But it's been a great response.
Jim, if I could do a quick follow-up.
Sure.
Was it a different feeling, Coach, coming into this year's media day and seeing the predictions? I know, you coaches don't really pay attention to it. That's what you say. But given everything that has transpired in almost 2 years, how different was the feel coming into this media day and looking at the rankings and things of that nature?
Was different. I can definitely say that. I've been one of those guys just kind of put my head down and work, and I require the same of my staff and the same of my team. But we live in an age and a date now that it's hard not to pay attention to certain things and see certain things going on. So my grandma always said, kind of let the work that you do speak for you. And she's always seen that little gospel song, so it's kind of always stuck in my head. Let the work that I do speak for me. I think we've done that. And say, you know what, hey, it's hard for me to look out, and nothing against any other coach or any other program, but I know how we do things here. It's hard for me to look and see that there are 4 other programs that are better than what we are. Again, no slight to anybody else, but it was kind of hard to see that. Preseason ranked 25th nationally. That kind of aligns with what we're talking about, because we want to make sure we make a splash on the national scene. Looking a little bit further than the CIAA. So I think we've done that. But I guess amongst the peers, they feel a little different. But the best thing about that is we get a chance to play all of those guys. So we get a chance to prove that starting September.
I thought I saw Reggie Walston with his hand up, but I don't see him at the moment. We'll go to Stephen Gate. Oh, wait. Did he just come back in? Okay, Chris Ferguson, you have your hand up.
Hey, Coach, this is Chris Ferguson with D2Football.com, and thank you for hosting this.
Appreciate you doing.
One of the things I kind of noticed over the past year and a half is that there's been a lot of changes in coaching staffs across the conference. Can you talk a little bit about your staff and, how what advantages you may have with retaining a lot of your staff through the pandemic and the loss of football for the last season or so?
Great question, Chris, because I think that's a big reason that we're able to win. The continuity that we have. I've been able to pretty much keep, 95% of my staff together from the time that I've arrived here. And it hasn't been because those guys hasn't been, been pulled or yanked on. It's been because, we created good culture here, good environment. And those guys have had opportunities, but I kind of work like an assistant. I was assistant for maybe 18 of the 22 years I've been coaching. So I kind of keep my head down, and it's a great work environment. I think, I let those guys be heard, and I think those guys have a lot of skin in the game. So when it's time to kind of get something done, I can lean on a lot of valuable guys. But to have those guys here with me the entire time I've been here, everybody that's on our team now, from our seniors on down, have been coached by the same guys. So that speaks volumes. They only hear one voice, they only know one thing, the way we do it. So having that continuity, and it's easier for your older guys to teach your younger guys, because they're going to start to emulate you and preach what you preach and teach what you teach. So, having that continuity with, coordinators in place and position coaches in place, it's been something that's been pretty good, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going into what'll be kind of year 4, but technically, year 3 on the field. So definitely, I'm glad you made that observation, Chris.
Stephen Gaither, you have your hand up.
Okay, yeah, and Dr. Parker, question. One thing that has changed over at Virginia Union is your field, Hovey Field. I mean, it's one of the most historic venues in all of college football. But you guys got some new turf down there. Talk about what that means, not only for your program, but also, how that helps your program on the field, literally.
Well, anytime you talk about a facility upgrade or anything that you can bring new to campus, almost like a new toy, it's going to heighten recruiting. It's something that's eye-catching for all the people that we bring to campus. It beautifies the campus. I think our campus is beautiful, and that adds to it. If you drive past, there's some work being done to it almost every day. I think our staff has done a great job of putting some stuff together, and it's going to be a lot of surprises. I think once, we hit it and September gets here, we're probably going to have the most beautifulest venue in the CIAA. A lot of people talked about the stands and some other things. All of that will be done. We'll have, a jumbotron to go along with that. So it's not just going to be the field, Steve. It's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be added on to that to make it one of the top class facility, that you could drive by and see. And it'll be something that, like I said, definitely eye-catching. There's not a lot of venues that you can see directly off 95. There's only two, as a matter of fact. And that's Lanier Field, the Hovey Stadium, and the Ravens Stadium. And the only two fields that you can see directly on the drive on 95. So it's going to be something easy, accessibly, and it's going to be a beautiful facility. So, take my word on it. Once you come over here and see it and check it out, you see all the upgrades and everything that's being done to it. It's something that's great. And again, our guys that are here kind of waited on it. Our guys that are seniors will get to play on it, and they kind of waited on that to happen. Our new guys, it's all they're going to know. Again, I played on the old Hovey Field, like you said, historical wasn't the word for it. It was something else, but it's got a lot of wins out there. Hopefully on this turf, we can get a lot of wins on it too.
Got you. I got a follow-up question as well. Two of them, actually. I don't want to be greedy, but so next up, yeah. And so you start the season with Hampton. Obviously, you guys went down there a couple of years ago and knocked them off, and just talk about starting with that game again, and then I'll do my follow-up after that.
Well, I mean, it's one of those tough games again. I think we went down there and we played exceptionally well in 2019. But anytime you going against a program that almost triple the amount of scholarships that you have, it's going to be a challenge. You know what I'm saying? So I think our guys respond well, to the coaching, and they get down there and they just kind of play ball. So it's one of those situations that, we look forward to those type of things, those type of games. Anytime you can get an FCS opponent, it's not going to be a long drive, a long ride. You can kind of get down there and strap it up, and play ball. I think, it's good. Last year, 2019, we played a ton of fans there. You can look around, you can see that our side was packed with people because it was an old school rivalry. So something that, good for the fans, and that we're looking forward to kind of getting back to as well, But again, I don't think, like people probably thought before, we had a chance to sneak up on them or do something different like that. I don't think it's going to definitely be any of those type of questions this year. And I'm sure, Coach Pruitt's going to have those guys ready down there when we get down there. But like I said, it's going to be a challenge. Anytime D2 versus FCS is always supposed to be a challenge.
Reggie, I thought I saw your hand up. I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah.
Well, let's get...
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, Dr. Parker, talk about your coaching staff.
Well, I think we're still in place from the year what we had in 2019. All our coordinators are still in place. All our position coaches are still in place. So, was able to kind of give a few different guys some opportunities. We raised some GAs up to some positions, where they have some more on-field type responsibilities. But like I said earlier, we're still intact with our staff. The same guys that I've had since I was hired in 2018 are still here working for me. Working with me. And those guys are doing a great job. So I haven't had to make those type of adjustments and those type of changes because, again, I worked these guys before we got here or different situations and things like that. And they know the expectations and they know, kind of how I see things, and they bought into my vision. So it's kind of easy to get things done.
Steven, I didn't mean to step on
Yeah,
your. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, Coach. Can you talk about having Coach Joe Taylor and also Coach Willie Bailey, two Hall of Famers? A lot of attention's been focused on Virginia Union. How have you handled that?
Well, I mean, I played for Coach Bailey for 4 years. I coached with him, coached for him for another 5 years, I believe. So, Coach is like another pops to me, on the flip side of that with Coach Taylor, Coach Taylor gave me my first opportunity to be a head coach. Anytime a Hall of Famer sees something in you, I think that speaks volumes. I think he's seen something in me, and he was able to kind of give me an opportunity to kind of come in here, and he's a guy. He's a roadmap a lot of the times. He lets me be me. But again, it's always good to have somebody there that can kind of guide you and that has been through a lot of things. Anytime somebody's coached that many games, they've seen every situation, every scenario. They've seen all type of kids and all type of players, all type of talent, anything like that. So it's been something that's been good in terms of that. I was glad for Coach Bailey this year that he got inducted. Thought it was a little long overdue. And I was happy that I could be a part of a lot of that. I could witness all of that. Anytime, you see a Hall of Famer kind of getting enshrined, you kind of getting told the stories, but I was a part of those stories, so that was something that was good. So, I hope that doesn't mean I'm getting too old, but, I was a part of it, and I got to see it all. So, having those two guys kind of right there is something is awesome.
Steven, did I step on your second question? I apologize if I did.
There's no worries. It's all good. The last question that I had and Luke Williams, who's driving beside me, wanted me to ask this. Talk about some of your key players coming up next year. Hopefully, starting with Hall. He had a great year in 2019, and just talk about what he brings at the wide receiver position, and then some of your other guys that have made the All-CIAA team.
Oh, well, we of course start with Charles. Charles led the nation in yards per catch. So him leading the nation in yards per catch showed me that we probably got to get him the ball a little bit more. He averaged roughly about 27 yards per catch in 2019. Led NCAA Division II, so that was something that was big. The person that threw him the ball, Khalid Morris, he'll be back. So that's something that's going to be big. He led the league in passing in 2019. And to add some of the guys that are the preseason guys, Desmond Smith, who plays tight end for us. He was a multiple catch guy, multiple touchdown guy that was able to get some things done for us to stretch the field from the tight end position. Jaden Reeves, another preseason selection, made it as a punt returner, but he's a wide receiver for us that returns punts. He's pretty electrifying out there, but he can get the ball in his hand. He was second in receptions for us. Jefferson Souza, who I really don't need to talk about that much. One of the I think 3 preseason All-Americans that we have in this conference. Led the nation in touchbacks. 15 out of 16 for field goals. Just special with it. A guy who has a next level foot. So him and a wealth of other guys, man, that I thought probably should have made all conference or preseason all conference because they've been in here doing work for us. But again, those guys get a chance to show it. I think a lot of those guys can have a chip on their shoulder, and it's easy to say that, and it's easy to kind of go about it like that because those guys put in the work. If they don't put in the work, then they can't really say that they're all conference or all this and all that. But we got a lot of guys that feel like they deserve it because they put in the work.
Chris Ferguson, I see your hand up.
So, Coach, of the players that are not returning, there are 2 pretty big names out there. One was Tobias Taylor, who we knew transferred to Notre Dame for the spring, and then I believe Sturman Hammond, he may have graduated. So can you talk about the impact of the loss of those 2, leaders? They did a lot on their respective sides of the ball.
Big time, to hold the field. Both All-Americans, both put up great numbers, both multiple year starters, they're household names, all both of them, so they did a lot of good work for us. And to say that, we can have one person to kind of come in and fill those shoes is going to be me kind of reaching or putting a stretch on that, but we got to do it by committee on offense to make sure those guys can fill up those numbers that Tobias had, so somebody can show that they can take over. But I think we got a lot of qualified guys. On defense, the same. I think Sterling Hammond put in a lot of work. He was a stat sheet stuffer. Fumbles, interceptions, tackles, block kicks. He did it all. So, we got to make sure we get a multitude of guys that can give us those numbers back. So how we got to get it done? I think we got a lot of guys that's aiming to fill those spots because, again, they know the level of what we want from those positions. So we got a lot of guys that's aiming to kind of get it done at those positions. So I'm pretty excited to kind of see what that entails. Being off this little bit of time, we got 15 days to kind of see it during the spring. So we saw glimpses of it and we felt pretty good about it. But being able to see it for a whole season is something different. So we kind of anxious to see how that's going to go.
We have a few more minutes if anybody has more questions.
So I have another question, then I'll just throw out there. So you talked about Hampton as opening the season, but as a D2 guy, I'm looking more so at that second game of the season against Valdosta State. I know the last time we played football, Lenore Ryan was in that second slot. So, talk a little bit about what that game kind of means to the team, because that has a bigger implication for things like playoffs down the road. So be curious to know your thoughts on that.
Well, you're 100% right on that. And when factoring in 2019, we're factoring in our end of the season points and things like that for a playoff spot. The points that we got for Hampton was almost zero. They kind of came from the human side of things. But had we got the Lenore Ryan game, we would have had more points. So winning those D2 games, especially against the top teams like that, definitely helps you out when it comes to that playoff race. In terms of scheduling and all these guys, it's been a philosophy of mine that I've adopted from working for different guys, that, you always schedule the tougher guys like that. So since I've been here, we've played, and that slot has been Carson Newman, followed by Lenore Ryan. Now this year, Valdosta. So in terms of level of competition that we want to face, those are the type of guys we want to play. So I think, Valdosta is a top 5 program. They're going to come up here to Richmond to play us. And that game's going to have a lot of implications. It's going to be a top 25 matchup. I think all guys need to see those type of teams, so when you get to the playoffs or you aiming to get there, it's not a red flag for you or an alarm for you when you get there and see those type of teams, so and it helps you out for the conference as well. Everybody knows the story behind Valdosta. Everybody know, I think in the last 2 seasons that they played, they're 22-1 or something like that. Won the national championship in 2018. Everybody knows the story. It gives us a chance to go up against somebody that's just that tough, to show what type of squad we have. Again, we have never shied away from competition since I've been here. Even when I was here the last time, we kind of took the same philosophy with Coach Bailey. Find a way to play those tough guys early. I don't think anybody has the first 2 games like we have. We're facing a FCS program followed by a top 5 Division II program. So it's just a philosophy that I've always stuck with. I like going by it. It gets the guys ready and prepares you for the CIAA. So, and again, once you get to that playoff time and those regional rankings and all those type of things like that, those type of games tend to help you a little bit more than anything else.
All right, if there are no more questions, I appreciate everybody who showed up today for the Q&A. Coach Parker, congratulations on the 4 All-CIAA team, members team. And, hopefully we'll see more good things during the season.
Appreciate all you guys coming on.
Thanks a lot, guys. That's it for now.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.
Thank you.